Alright everybody, here's a couple of rims I did for my truck. These started out as 15 by 8 lug Kragers, and once I switched from 6 lug to 8 lug I had a ton of 6 lug wheels sitting around. You'll see a lot of people banding these where they just make a cut and they'll have two welds. What I did was I cut a piece out of a 6 lug wheel, cut a piece up, cut the back off the 8 lug, and welded them together. At first, I'll be honest, I was really concerned about putting too much heat in a rim and warping it. And I've already had to do this twice because first time they came out crooked. One of them came out way crooked. And as you can see, I was just tack, kept going around a rim tacking it, and that'll probably really ensure leaks. Not to mention it looks cruddy. That, and I was afraid I wasn't getting enough heat into them. So I came on the inside and I tried to lay a bead on there, which doesn't look real hot because it wasn't. It's really hard to reach down in here to there and weld these. These things are actually still warm. I just got done with them, but after I tack them and I checked them with a tape measure, I got these within 60 thousandths of being true, which is right on spec with most new wheels, straight out the box. But after I tacked it, I just started laying a bead, and I'd go around to the other side, lay another bead. There really wasn't a whole lot of rhyme or reason. When I got her welded solidly, I felt like anything that might have been an air leak, I came back and I touched on. I'm using a MIG machine for this. These need to go back in the trash. A pretty big MIG machine. I know most people have a big old honking 240 volt power MIG at their house, but if you take one of the smaller MIGs, I like MIG instead of wire feed, you can still do this. The rims aren't real super duper thick, and here I go getting the waste part cut out after my first attempt back out. This is trickier to do with one hand than you think, but as we can see, these aren't real thick. It's just a hair over an eighth, or roughly 4.5 to 5 millimeters, whichever you prefer. But yeah, this right here, this ugly crap that I'm really not even proud of showing anybody. And like I said, after I got it tacked all the way around on the outside, I'd tack, and I'd roll over here, and I'd tack. I ground some of this down, I rolled over here, I'd tack, and I just kept going around and around the rim. And what that's going to leave you with is big, ugly globs like this. These wheels are thicker than you initially think they are, and they can take some heat. Not a ton of heat, you know. Don't be turning your stick machine, which would actually probably be better for doing this because of a continuous bead, but don't like take your stick machine, crank it up to 200 amps with a skinny rod and think you're not going to burn through, because you will. But I feel like this is a little safer just having one weld on here rather than a weld, then a band, and another weld. That, and I figure it's a whole lot easier to get it straight the first time. Well, trust me, it's a whole lot easier to get it straight the first time. Right there's just some of the filings from where I had to cut these down a second time. But if anybody wants, leave me a comment or something. And the next set of them I do, which will be in a couple days or so, I'll go ahead and make a video of all the steps. Tip though, as I muscle these things around. Yes, I see that they're, if you look, they're one's ever so slightly wider than the other, which could be in the workbench. I mean, it's only 3/8 plywood. But when I measured for them being true, I measured from inside bead to inside bead, which is a little tricky to do, but it's doable. I did it. But yeah, if anybody wants to see all the steps involved in doing this and all these fancy cutting tools I have, which consists of this bench vise with my grinder clamped in it, I put me up a rub rail here, and actually you can see where I was sitting here turning the wheel while the grinder was running. I know there's a ton of videos on this, but this is just how I did it. I felt like it was safer only having one weld. Good, deep, penetrating weld. As you can see, somebody at some point, the 6-lug wheels were indeed chrome, and somebody fogged them black. Not that I care. They're probably just going to get sandblasted and painted, or maybe just painted, I don't know. It's an old truck, I don't particularly care. Oh, and I thought I'd show you this too. No, which wheel is it on? Now, daggone it. One of my more colorful friends has a 6-lug truck still, because he's living in the dark ages. Then he's a wee bit of a cretin. Yes, that. I let him borrow some 6-lug wheels because he wanted to see, yeah, that's right where it was. He wanted to see how 12s looked on his truck instead of 10s, and I went to get one of them back. He goes, "Got a hole in it." "What do you mean it's got a hole in it?" "It's got a hole in it." You could see that it wasn't even perfectly round. It was kind of almost triangulated. I don't know how he did it. There wasn't any rust in a hole. I had deflated the tire that was on that wheel, this wheel, myself, and dismounted it. So I know it wasn't there when he took it, but yeah. Somehow he ended up with a big old stinking hole big enough to put your finger in there, right over by the valve stem. I probably just could have put a valve stem in it, but that'd look hokey. I guess it probably wouldn't look any hokier than having rims you welded together on your truck. But I know a lot of guys run these on the street. It's probably perfectly permissible. It really depends on the tire you're running and all that. These are destined for some 44-inch TSLs, so I might run them on the street on the back. I may go ahead. I've seen only a couple other people do this. Take pieces of flat bar. You know, try to brace this up a little. I also thought of maybe grinding all this smooth. Getting another piece of 1/8 inch. So wide. Forming it into a circle around a rim. Taking a torch and burning holes in the piece of metal I wrap around, weld it on both sides, and then plug weld it to try to hold this together better. But really, I mean, you got to keep something in mind. I know it's done by a robot and all, but right there's a factory weld on these, and if you look really, really close, those little square indentions are where they originally put the rim shell together. But yeah, if there's enough interest in it, next time, well, maybe I'll do it anyway. Next time I'll do little snippets of all the steps involved. And yes, as you can see, if you look ever so closely, even a MIG welder can burn through a rim if you have the heat up too stinking high. I try to run the heat up as high as I can without burning through, so I know I'm getting a better surface penetration without, you know, burning through. Now, as you can see here, you see this yellow and blue. Starts out blue and then it goes to yellow, and then you're at your weld. then your yellow, and then your blue. What happens here is that's where the metal's taking the heat. Okay, this is good and hard. This is good and hard. This is just kind of a little anatomy of a weld 101, and this is good and hard. But here in this discolored area on both sides, it's just a little bit weaker. Of course, then again, if you're not bouncing your truck off rocks and so on, and you're a halfway decent welder to begin with, and seriously, I mean that halfway decent. I mean, I've seen some stuff people have welded before that look like teetotal crap and it's held together. Me being one of them, I've done some ugly stuff before and it's always held. I'll just get you a close up of the inside here. And honestly, I mean, if you wanted to do a set of custom wheels for your 2-wheel drive or half-ton, you know, if you want to run really super wide tires or do that goofy stretch thing all the kids are into, you know, you could probably weld some up like this. And if you just wanted painted rims, you Bondo your seam, sand it. It'd probably come out all right. Another thing I see a lot of people doing when they're banding wheels, which is, again, I think just banding them's a terrible, terrible idea, because you've gone from one failure point to two, is they'll cut it here. And they'll add 3 inches. Well, you know, this is where your drop center is for mounting your tire. And especially when you're dealing with an expensive tire, like a big old super swamper or something, you don't want to possibly tear your bead. A lot of guys that are running 2.5-inch back spacing, this would be the outside of their rim. The rim center would be reversed. And you'll see a lot of them cut them here, cut this off of another rim, add their band, then add this piece on the outside, so both sides would be the narrower, which is fine. But seriously, whatever you do, you don't want to band them out here if you can avoid it. Or especially even worse on this side where you're going to have a hard time getting your tire on. You know, if you're just running a 295/50 or something that's, you know, $100 for a cheapie, brand new, it's probably not too terribly bad if you booger one up a little, but, you know, a $600 Super Swamper is a different story. That'd hurt you. That'd really hurt your pride if you goofed that up. So, yeah, let me know if y'all see anything you like. I may do a set of these recentered. The next, the other 2 Kraggers I've got, you know, picked them off of Craigslist. Some guy sold me all 4 of them for $75 and brought them to me, so I can't really complain. The next set I do, I may do like this. I may cut down through here, knock the center out, blow the center out of one of the 6-lug rims, and take that big old honking press right there and press it in. And then, of course, weld it. That's something else a lot of people don't understand. If there's enough of an interference fit here for it to press, when you weld this together, your rim's going to creak. It'll make a creaking noise when it's going down the road. I don't know if any of the guys running recentered H1s have that problem or not, but it is what I've heard, and I'm really not brave enough to try and find out otherwise. People that come up with this kind of stuff have probably been messing around with rims since before my dad was born, so yeah, I'm gonna be messing around with a bunch of these because I got a pile of big old wide 6-lug rims that I can't do nothing with, and if I booger a few of them up in a process, oh well. They ain't costing me nothing sitting there, and they ain't doing me no good either. But yeah, I mean, basically that's how it's done. I get my grinder and a vise over here at the height I want it. I turn it on. I set the rim here, and you can see where I just rested against that stop, and I just sit there and slowly rotate. But yeah, watch, take a gander. I know I'm rambling. If you want to see the actual steps to doing this, I'll be more than happy to make another video. Thanks for watching.